I used to ignore everything in New York until a spoiled Omega Heir made me his personal servant. They say New York will eat you alive if you're not careful. I just never expected the one feeding me to be an Omega with cheekbones sharp enough to cut my pride. I used to drift through Manhattan like a ghost beta, invisible, unimportant. I delivered packages for a luxury courier service, riding my beat-up bike through cold rain and rich neighborhoods, exchanging nods with doormen who looked through me. I didn't mind. Ignoring the glitter and grind of the city kept me sane. But that was before I met him. His name was Elliot Whitmore, 23, heir to the Whitmore Hotel's empire, and quite possibly the most impossible Omega ever birthed by Upper East Side privilege. It began with a wrong delivery, a mix-up with labels, a missed signature, and I found myself standing in the penthouse of the Whitmore Tower, dripping wet, holding a box of imported French macarons that were never meant for him. Elliot looked me over like I was street trash that had somehow wandered into his sanctuary. He was draped in silk, his golden hair tousled like he'd just stepped out of a scandal. Eyes pale green, dangerous, and disinterested. "You're late," he said, biting into a macaron that wasn't his. "And you look tragic." I should have walked out, should have tossed the package and never returned. But I didn't, because that ridiculous little Omega smirked and said, "Actually, stay. I need a new personal servant. My last one fell in love with me." "Disastrous, really?" I laughed, right in his face. He tilted his head, considering me like a new plaything. "You're not even an alpha," he said. "No," I replied, shrugging. "Worse. Beta. Boring. Not worth anyone's trouble." His grin widened. "Perfect. That's how it started. First, I treated it like a joke. I figured he'd get bored in a day, 2 at most. But Elliot never got bored. He invented boredom and used it as fuel for chaos. I became his shadow, his mule, his errand boy. He made me fetch rare perfumes from Harlem, pick up antique typewriters from Brooklyn, and bring him hot cocoa from exactly one obscure cafe in Queens. "You're lucky," he told me once, sprawled on the white leather couch in nothing but a velvet robe. "Most people pay to be this close to me." I didn't answer. I was too busy folding his silk pajamas in color order, as he demanded. Days turned to weeks. His moods were firestorms, mercurial and scorching. He threw champagne bottles one day, then curled up on my shoulder the next, sobbing about his mother who had left him for an Italian sculptor. He was terrible, and I hated that I started to want him. Not like everyone else wanted him, not as a conquest, not as a prize. I wanted to fix the sadness behind his cruel games. I wanted to see him without all the wealth and ruin. One night, in a drunken haze, he collapsed into my lap on the balcony, the city glittering behind him like 1,000 tiny lies. "Do you think I'm broken?" he whispered. "I think you're pretending to be." He blinked, tears threatening to smudge his eyeliner. "Don't say things like that," he murmured. "I'll start to believe you care." "I don't," I lied, and then added, "but maybe I could." He kissed me that night. Not sweetly, not softly. It was a kiss full of teeth, and anger, and every unsaid thing we'd built between us. When it broke, he pushed me away and said, "You're fired." I didn't fight it. I left, but I couldn't stop thinking about him. For a week, I returned to my old routes, my old bike, my old life, until the news broke. Elliot had vanished, fled the city. His father had cut off his trust fund. There were whispers of a scandal involving a hidden engagement to some alpha diplomat, arranged without his consent. Elliot had run no one knew where. I thought I'd never see him again. 3 months later, I found him in a diner in upstate New York. He looked real, worn, eyes-tired. He wore flannel and jeans and no trace of the Whitmore snarl. He was washing dishes and humming off-key. "You stalking me now?" he said when he saw me. "I was delivering pie," I said, holding up the box, "and maybe hoping I'd find you." He sat down across from me, the silence thick between us. Then he whispered, "I didn't want to be loved for being broken. I wanted to be loved despite it." "I don't love you," I said, though my chest burned. I know, he smiled. But maybe you could. That night I stayed. We didn't kiss. We didn't confess. We just shared pie and let our walls fall quietly. He never returned to the city. I didn't either. We opened a small inn near the woods. He designed the rooms. I handled the books. Guests called us the odd pair, the moody Omega and the quiet Beta. No one knew our history. No one needed to. Sometimes, I catch him watching me with that old fire in his eyes, and he'll say, "Still boring, huh?" And I'll say, "Still impossible." But what I mean is, I wouldn't trade this him for all of New York's towers. Because the truth is, I used to ignore everything in that city. Until I met the one person I couldn't. And he ruined me beautifully. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.